Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show and our usual Monday night roundtable. Delighted to say that I am joined, as ever, by Gareth Walker and by Stephen Downes, and also making his biannual appearance on the show is Dave Foy. How are we, guys? Are we well?
All good.
All good, mate.
Gaz?
All good.
Downes?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Thanks. To you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. I'll be honest, a little bit tired. Somebody decided to stay up way too late last night watching the Super Bowl and is now regretting it.
Why you watch that crap, I have no idea, but there we are.
Well. I mean, that's good for a man who watches Huddersfield Town week in, week out. Let's start at the bottom, I guess, and work our way up. Since we've got Dave on, we'll get the non-league stuff in to start with. And, I mean, a little bit of... sad news to a point, really, coming from Brighouse Town. Now, Dave, I know obviously you've got an affiliation, obviously living close to Brighouse and having kind of worked with them over the last few years. We'll start by just having a quick look at the results from the weekend in the MPL East. As you can see, a few postponements affecting sides across our region. Bradford Park Avenue, though, they were in action and they got themselves a 2-0 win over Blythe Town. And that's almost about it, apart from Ossett and Garforth, who, I'll be honest, given the weather we've had, I am staggered that Ossett were able to get that game on, knowing what the pitch can be like over at Ossett. But they did, and they'll be glad of doing just that as well. A 2-1 win in a West Yorkshire derby over Garforth Town. The league table looks like this. Redcar currently sitting top and are 7 points clear of second place, Matlock Town. Emily occupying third, and Bradford Park Avenue currently sitting fourth, having beaten Matlock actually in the last midweek. And as I say, picking up that win over Blythe Town, who are, both Blythe sides, as you can see from the northeast, occupying the bottom two places of the table. Now, Brighouse weren't in action. Their game on Saturday was postponed. But rather saddeningly, really, Dave, there was a statement that came out from the club yesterday from the assistant manager, Danny Frost, basically just explaining that the club is in a particularly difficult position. I'll read through it and then we'll reflect on it to start with. So at the time of writing, we find ourselves in the bottom four. Results haven't matched performances on the pitch, and especially recently, when we've come up against top of the league opposition, the quality of other teams has definitely shown. But we are still within a chance of staying up. Plenty of footballs we played, which due to the below is some achievement. The past few months have been hard for the players, and not more so than recently, when we've been told that our budget has been cut in half and all the players have had to take pay cuts. The budget itself was already the lowest in the league, and now it doesn't even touch Step 5 budgets. However, every player agreed to stay, and that shows the group we have right now, players who care about playing for the club. We need you, Brighouse Town fans, more than ever. Attendances have slipped this season, and our main source of income comes from the gate receipts, halftime raffle, golden goal, and food and drink sales, as well as sponsorship and donations. When the income isn't coming in like usual because of dips in the attendance, the weekly costs of the club are still in play, including players' wages, utilities, etc. We appreciate any donations, and we still have sponsorship opportunities in which you can get involved with between now and the end of the season. Please get in touch if you want to get involved and support your local club. For all Brighouse fans, please join us every home game between now and the end of the season and get behind the lads at your club. And then if anybody does want to get in touch or involved with sponsorships, the email address is brighousetownfc@gmail.com. I mean, it seems to be, and we'll come on to the situation in rugby league with Halifax Panthers and how that affects Halifax Town as well a little bit later on, but it seems to be a difficult time for clubs in different sports, to say the least, but obviously not more so than in the non-league game, Dave. And, you know, as Danny's touched on there, Brighouse was certainly one of the lower budgets in the division that they play in to start with.
Yeah.
If that's cut in half, as he says there, that's not touching, Step 5 sides. And we know how competitive Step 5 is in our region.
Yeah, this is news that I've only just really become aware of maybe about an hour before we've gone live. And there's been hushed whispers that this could be happening at Brighouse Town, but teams at this level are so Every one of them. I mean, obviously, I'd even include Redcar in that league, who are absolutely flying, as you showed in your graph. What do they have? 5-6 wins in a row. Every club's susceptible to that. You know, we had Marsk, who won that league a few years ago. Now Marsk have went up to the level above, and now I'm not quite sure what's happening with Marsk. I don't even want to describe it as a cautionary tale. Brighouse aren't exactly the first. They'll more than likely not be the last either. But things have. It goes back to COVID. COVID seems to have put everything up a gear in terms of financial struggles, and obviously it's reflected in the table. I know for a while Brighouse was sort of just mid-table, lower mid-table, but I mean, the form guide there, you know, there's 2 draws and 3 losses. I mean, all the players have stopped. That's a huge plus, a huge positive for the club. But yeah, you could replace Brighouse Town's name with any of the, within reason, any of the other 21 clubs at that level, above or below. We just know how delicate the balance is. You know, every club from. I mean, how high up the pyramid do you want to go in terms of, like, even, you know, we'll look at what's happening at Wednesday. I'm sure we've covered that briefly. Up and down the football pyramid outside the Premier League, every club's not that far away from this kind of crisis. There's not. I don't know what else to say, really.
It's one of them, like as you say, it's an ongoing struggle, isn't it? And it has been for a long time for the non-league clubs, and obviously we do our best to try and kind of be advocates of it. And look, having seen the top flight of the game over the course of the weekend with all the instructions with VAR and that sort of nonsense, there really is a beautiful pureness, I think, about the non-league game. That's one of the things that I've been such a big and why I've been such a big fan of the non-league game over the years as well. But ultimately, it always relies on the fans. And quite often you'll see for some clubs that, you know, those on the doorstep of Leeds, Bradford and Huddersfield will get improved attendances when those sides, for example, are away from home. But for Brighouse themselves overall, obviously, if the numbers just have dropped slightly over the course of the season, it has an impact. I mean, obviously, you kind of were involved with the club how long ago now? A few years ago now, weren't you? On a semi-regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, I was part of the media team, but we're going back a good 2 or 3 years. I'm sure if I was to go up to the ground at Hove Edge now, though, I mean, they've been mentioned in the statement. It'll be the same faces that are selling the raffle tickets. It'll be the same members of staff working the clubhouse. It'll be the same, you know, volunteers. Every club needs. They're so crucial.
Yeah,
you know, it'll be all the same people. It'll be like I haven't been away, other than obviously now we've got this terrible news. I mean, whatever level or whatever decisions reached in the future, I just hope that they can carry on. You know, it's like all clubs at that level. They're a smashing club. We've got a smashing social club attached to the ground. You know what I mean? Like I've just touched on them, countless. Or a good number of volunteers, people that have loved the club, people that have played for the club. I think even since it was started as Blakeboroughs back in the 60s. Some of the older gents that are on the committee, and obviously with that comes people that are on the committee also sell the raffle tickets, also do the other jobs.
Yeah,
you know, this is people's livelihoods. I dare say some of these men will be married and have, you know, children, grandchildren, yet they follow Brighouse Town up and down the country because that's how the league is. It goes up and down rather than like across, just as a side note, you know. So there's people that have dedicated a lot of love and blood, sweat and tears over the years. But, you know, this is every club at that level. Lincoln United, whoever you want to name, will have these people. Obviously, you guys, Lou, whoever, have been involved with Park Avenue. You know what goes on behind the scenes at these clubs. Geisley, obviously yourself, Chris. I know Steve's eventually going to touch on. We're going to get onto rugby league, but Steve's even been involved at Dewsbury Rams. You know what I mean? These are sports clubs where they're in the community, aren't they? They're sort of the heart of the community, or they're a treasured part of a little place. Like Brighouse is not a big town; it's a small market town.
Well, on that note, I'll kind of come to you, Steve. Because obviously, if we bring the table back up as well, I know you've kind of been involved in and around Emily as well, who obviously are having a particularly good season as well.
I forgot about Emily, actually, Chris.
Are one of those kind of small places where the football club can be the heart of a community, similar to for Brighouse and as I say, to be fair, as Dave rightly says, the other 21 teams that are in the MPL East.
Yeah, when Emily over the years have fallen on hard times and sort of ridden down the divisions lower than this one, of course, and they've had to build themselves back up. And it is, that's for the fact that the people are there now and the volunteers, like Dave says, and you see it on match day up at Emily at the fantastic media welfare ground. That without those volunteers, there wouldn't really be a club. Andrew Payton and Marcus Pound have done an amazing job there to help Richard Tracy build a squad that is competitive. Emily certainly don't have the biggest budget in that division by a long way. But I think, part of Emily's charm is that they've built it sustainably. They won't go above any budgets that they've got. And they've enticed the fans in. They've said, look, on like you said, Chris, when Town are away, come and watch Emily. Get up there and, all right, you might have to stand in all weathers throughout the game, which I've seen myself, snow, hail, rain, wind, sun, all in 90 minutes. But what I would say is, look, it's a cracking ground. It's a great club. Brighouse are a great club as well. We're on about them. They just need to find a way through this. They need to market themselves as a communication person, is what I do for a living. That's one of the big battles, isn't it? As a non-league club, you need to get out there and show your face and do something a bit crazy, or create a narrative, such as what Emily and Golker have done. And a lot of the clubs, Ossett, they have to be given great credit for what they've done as well. But I hope Brighouse come through it. I think people like such as Dave, who's worked at the club, in a capacity. They're so important, and people need to get behind it, because without these community clubs, communities die, and social behaviour dies then, and you just don't have a platform to build that from. Once they're gone, they're gone, and once the ground is gone and there's houses built on it or whatever, you don't get that back. So let's try and keep it together. And let's try and get behind the Brighouse, whether you support a club already or not, and give them a bit of love, and hopefully they get through it.
Well, this is the thing, if there's any Town, City, or Halifax Town fans that are in that Brighouse area when your teams are away from home or whatever, we, as I say, we've been a big advocate of the non-league game in general, because it comes with that kind of that pureness that I refer to, in terms of it is the game in its truest form. You don't get the nonsense of VAR, and it's so much more enjoyable, even frankly, just staying at home watching a Premier League game on the TV. And also, it's about being part of the community and making friends and meeting people. And you do, as David alluded to earlier, you do see the familiar faces over the years that become friends. So, look, it's especially in this region with the amount of non-league clubs that we've seen, wherever you are in the region, get out and support your local clubs where you can. But we obviously hope, for Brighouse's sake, that we can kind of help them raise a little bit of profile, even by mentioning them at the start of the show, when we know there's a lot of Town, City and Leeds fans that will be joining us that probably won't really have paid a great deal of attention to the non-league scene. We'll just touch on the league below before we make our way back up, and that is the step 5 that Danny Frost was alluding to in terms of budgets-wise and the divisions. And if I've got this right, the Premier Division, which is this one, obviously with games at the weekend, falling foul of the weather, weren't too many games, a couple in our area. Albion Sports played out a 3-3 draw against Penistone Church. Tadcaster Albion played Liversidge with a big away win there, as two of the sides in and around the top end of the table met at Tadcaster. And then Golker United, another West Yorkshire derby with plenty of goals in this one. So Golker United with a 5-2 away win at Thackley. Ash Flynn, who's been around the block more times than he'd probably care to remember, with a couple of goals on the score sheet there. And
Ash Flynn's a bit Ashlin's a bit
Go
like
on.
Tyson Fury. He keeps retiring and coming back. He's retired about 9 times.
He certainly does the keep coming back part well enough. As you say, he's there can't be too many non-league sides in our region that he hasn't played for. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. But he's always been one of those that's found the back of the net wherever he's been. Into the NCL Division 1, just the 3 games played over the weekend. A couple of them involving sides in our region. Wakefield with a good 4-0 win away at Goole. And I'm going to go with this one. Friend of the show, Dave, if you remember that pre-season friendly that we went to between between Liverpool and Curzon Ashton, when Ethan Kashiosa said that he recognises off the podcast. He got a couple of goals for Wakefield on Saturday, and then South Leeds, they popped up with a 3-1 win over Harrogate Railway as well. Let's work our way back up then. Guiseley, they got a 0-0 draw at home to Lancaster, which is a point not to be sniffed at, to be fair at the moment. Lancaster aren't doing too badly themselves, and Guiseley nicely in mid-table under Ian Richards. He's kind of turned that ship around a little bit since taking over a few months ago. And then, upper level, we go to your side, Dave, FC Halifax Town. Not the result that you would have wanted over the course of the weekend. However, other results kind of went Town's way as well, which leaves, and again, I'm trying to find the right relevant graphic. Let's guess at this one. It is this one. There we go. FC Halifax Town sitting 7th in the National League table. And it is kind of starting to split apart a little bit. There's some gaps forming. As you can see, Rochdale and York, the top 2. Then a 9-point gap between York and Scunthorpe United. And then if you look at the between 6th and 7th, Boreham Wood with a 9-point cushion over Halifax. And Halifax currently occupying that final playoff place with sides that will fancy trying to chase Halifax down. But for the time being, Dave, all in all, where do you see the season so far since we last had you on?
Yeah, I don't think we've had too bad of a season, really. We'd have certainly took 7th at the beginning of the year, having lost half the squad as usual. I think kudos here has to go to Boreham Wood and Scunthorpe, who both got promoted to this level this season, especially Scunthorpe. I mean, they're absolutely flying. Obviously, Scunthorpe, the former Football League side, etc. But yeah, like I say, got to tip your hat to Boreham Wood and Scunthorpe. We've done very well. We had the whole Josh Amami has handed in a transfer request over this January transfer period, and we've managed to retain his services.
Yeah,
we're plodding along nicely. We've had a few injuries. Sorry, Chris, what were we going to say?
I was just going to say, where do you stand on the whole Josh Amami situation? Because obviously it kind of came public that he had put in a transfer request, but then usually when players do that, that's because there's some concrete interest somewhere. In this case, he seems to put the request in, and then nothing ever actually came of it. Sort of thing. You know, there weren't clubs readily on the doorstep waiting to make the inquiries and make the offers that perhaps Josh Amami was expecting them to.
Possibly. I mean, it's either pure coincidence or it's nicely been complemented by the fact that on the 3rd of January, he had to be substituted just before half-time versus Forest Green due to injury. So Adam Lakeland, for this January month, essentially, has been able to semi-shield him by saying he sort of said he's injured and he's not training, and it's just given him that cover. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know whether that's just coincidence or if he was genuinely injured. He just happens to have come back after the January transfer window was shut for Football League teams, though, and he managed to do 70 minutes, and Lakeland said, I wouldn't be able to. But as you've said, usually when a player puts in a transfer request, it's usually goodbye. That's where we are as a club. I think I mention it every time I come on. That's just our appeal for players at the moment. It has been for maybe a decade or so, that like we take either young and hungry from lower league, or we take players that have just come out of academies that are trying to get up into the Football League. And I think the club's always, it doesn't go public very often. And again, this is an issue we're sort of aware of on and off our live feeds. But one thing David Bosworth's always said, and the club's always said, is they wouldn't ever really stand in the way of a player returning to the Football League. It's frustrating, but most supporters were like, if Josh Amami goes, he goes and we'll just have to carry on. If he doesn't, which he hasn't, it's just a case of, some people say he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to offer a public apology. He doesn't have to do anything. Just carry on the pitch. He's got 13 goals from midfield. Try and, sounds crazy because usually we don't have them. Try and get to 20 goals. I don't know. Set yourself another target. And then when the summer comes, you're going to get that interest. You're going to get concrete interest rather than just putting in a transfer request. I've heard a rumour. Again, as a club with very little, that says very little, it creates a lot of whispers and Chinese whispers. There was a rumour that he's changed agents. He's changed his agent since the transfer request was put in, and then nothing materialised. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just something I've heard. Just if he plays well, he'll get his move in the summer, and I don't know. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, I mean, looking kind of results-wise and at the table, obviously throughout January, a little bit of a mixed bag. Obviously, a little bit of progression in the FA Trophy, but that came to a halt at home to the Harriers at the end of the month. Couple of wins in there, get at home against like Boston and Morecambe. A win away at Halifax. Away at Eastleigh for Halifax. And then you kind of come to Saturday, and the proverbial kind of, mad. What I think you put it in the group chat the other day that it was kind of 10 mad minutes really for Halifax, because they were 2-0 up at Aldershot Town. Will Harris with a brace on the 45th and 56th minute. And then Aldershot fought back with goals in the 60th. In fact, to be fair, mate, I think 10 minutes is overdoing
60,
it.
61 and 62, something like that. It was absolutely outrageous.
60, 62 and 65. A 5-minute period turning it on its head, and ultimately Aldershot and John Coleman were able to hold on for the win.
Yeah. I didn't attend the game. I just kind of followed it on the socials. It's when you go 2-0 up and it becomes 2-1 within a couple of minutes, it's going to be difficult. And Aldershot played towards their east bank. This will probably mean more to Chris, but it's essentially their home end. One end at Aldershot has a very small stand that I think usually has away supporters in. Halifax may have even been in that stand, but they shoot towards their essential cop end in the second half. The first goal was off a free kick, and it was a pretty good free kick. I haven't watched any of the goals because I don't want to, basically. But if you go 2 goals up away from home, especially when you're coming up to the hour mark, you've got to be leaving with something. They said that Kieran Morris, who's on loan from Oldham till the end of the season, missed an open goal at 3-2 down. We've missed a couple of opportunities. I can only really reflect on what Adam Lakeland said post-match, which was, all in all, other than that crazy 10 minutes, he was happy with the performance. And he said he's got into this little habit recently, a few months ago, and I don't like it, where he's starting to blame referees for decisions, and it can only ever backfire on you. And he had another little bit of a word about it, but what he said, which is a little bit against the norm, is in the last minute, Aldershot had a player sent off because of melee issue. There was a melee. What he said is all the referee needed to do was give a foul to Aldershot Town. Will Smith, our defender, had fouled an Aldershot player. It was as obvious as day. It weren't given, and the ball went out. They did that thing that happens in all games where it come out to one of our right backs, and one of their lads had just gone straight through and just cleaned him out, and that's how the melee erupted, basically. So what Lakeland said is, if he'd have just given the foul to Aldershot, even in the last minute, they wouldn't have had a player sent off if you'd have just given the right decision. And then he said, they played 4 minutes of injury time at the end of the match. He's saying there was 4 goals scored in the second half. We made 4 substitutions. Aldershot, I think, made 4 or 5. So where they've got 4 minutes from, he's not sure. He did it against...
In most cases, that'd be at least 9.
Yeah, they played 4, apparently. Kidderminster was critical of the referee. It's always easy when you lose. They were a little bit... There was a lot of shirt pulling and a lot of pushing and pulling and feet left in after tackles. And it weren't stamped out, but to be honest, I know I've got onto the Kidderminster game now. We can't have too many complaints. Kidderminster were the better team last week. Aldershot have obviously done enough to win a game at home, albeit we were 2-0 up. And those goals were Will Harris's 18 for 19 for the season in all competitions. 14 just in the league. You know what I mean? We don't usually have this kind of striker. We scored an overhead kick goal at Eastleigh that got voted the goal of the month for January. Am I keeping you up, Steve?
No, sorry, man.
Nice big yawn there. But yeah, Lakeland's happy. I'm happy. Supporters are happy with Adam Lakeland. I don't think I've seen one dissenting voice in the last 5 or 6 weeks. And up until the Aldershot defeat, we were on a run of 4 straight wins in the league we'd won. We lost down at Tamworth in the National League Cup. Adam Lakeland said it was a competition he would have liked to have won. I mean, he played Sam Johnson in goal, whereas in the previous rounds and the previous year, we've just had our backup goalkeeper, Nat Ford, between the sticks. He put out a strong team for Tamworth, and they did enough to win that game 1-0. We've gone out of 2 cups within less than 2 weeks, and obviously we've lost down at Aldershot. We just have to try and put it right on Wednesday when we're at Brackley. We've got a little run now where we play teams in inverted commas that are in the bottom half, which is when we tend to struggle. It's Brackley away Wednesday. We're at home to Truro Saturday, who beat us down there earlier in the year before we travel to York City early March, I think it is. We've got a run of 3 games now where we should be picking up maybe a good at least 6 to 7 points. Which
I'll run you through it. I'll run you through it. So as you say, it's Brackley away on Wednesday night, followed by Truro at home on Saturday. Then next Tuesday, the 17th, is Gateshead at home, who are rock bottom of the National League at the moment.
Yeah.
The 21st sees you travel to, the 21st of February sees you travel to York before you've then got Rochdale at home on Tuesday the 24th. And then you're in February with a home game against Sutton United on the 28th. So as you say, it is a mixed bag because you look at Brackley, Truro, Gateshead, all sides that are fairly down there. Brackley, of course, having recently lost their manager, Gavin Cowan, as well to Shrewsbury. And then it's followed up by the top 2 in York away and Rochdale at home.
Well, I mean, out of that top 14 we've just had up, I mean, and I get we're only just into the second half of the year. We've still got every one of them teams, I think, apart from Wealdstone to play yet. As you say, we've got Rochdale and York. We've still got to play Scunthorpe at home. We have a massive say in how these top 7 finish. Our last home game of the season, which is the one from last, because we're away at Woking on the last day, we're at home to Southend. That could be enormous, depending on where we're at. We've still got Boreham Wood to come yet. We've got a massive say in how the top 7 finish this season.
Yeah,
but we tend to struggle against lower opposition.
Yeah, it does feel like it is certainly very much in your own hands because of the fact that you've got those sides both above and around you still to play.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Scunthorpe and Southend played out a draw at the weekend, which was a great result for us. But Southend still have those 2 games in hand, and they're only a point behind. So it's just a case of will they be able to manage that?
Yeah, probably. I think Scunny got the win actually. I think against Southend, Scunny won it by a goal to nil in the end.
Okay,
because that's what put Scunthorpe up to 3rd.
Of course, yes.
Southend, one of those games in hand is Rochdale at home, though. So it'd be interesting. But they seem to have really dropped off form-wise of late of Southend United. Just kind of touch on Brackley then before we kind of move away from Halifax. As you say, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know if you've seen anything, but I don't think have Brackley replaced Gavin Cowan as yet. I don't think they have. I don't recall seeing anything about a permanent successor just yet. So what do you think in terms of the making that trip down there?
Well, their game was postponed on Saturday when they were at home again. So I think the main worry really for supporters is the game even going to be on with the weather, or is the pitch recovered enough? Let's not talk about pitch has been terrible because we've now got our house in order essentially. And but yeah, I think Brackley, and it's in Northamptonshire. Just for anybody that doesn't know where Brackley is, it's near Silverstone actually. Their game was postponed on Saturday, so it's a case of how well has it recovered. If they've had no rain, I think it should be game on. You'll know more about Brackley than most, Chris. Obviously, following Guiseley when they're in the north and ourselves are in the north. We've never done we've only ever done well once at Brackley, but we saved it for the playoff final when we won 1-0. We tend to just get 0-0s, or I think we've maybe even had a defeat down there. It's not somewhere that we do very well at, and we don't score a lot of goals there. So I can't see it this year. With Will Harris in the form he's in at the minute, and obviously Josh Hamami coming back, and this side getting a little bit more settled than it's been in recent years. I don't think it's going to be another low-scoring game for us, but anything could happen really when you've been 2-0 up and you've conceded 3 goals in 6 minutes. It's not you're not in a great position to make predictions, to be honest.
We will see then. We will see what it brings. The final thing to touch on, I guess, with Halifax is the news that broke about 6:30 this evening regarding the Halifax Panthers, the rugby league team, who, of course, ground share at the stay, and Downsy will bring you in on this as well. Effectively going into some form of voluntary liquidation. They had a High Court ruling today, which I think, from by all accounts, they were hoping will get thrown out. That's not the case. And obviously, for FC Halifax Town, from the football perspective, they are the cohabitants, of course, of the Shea. I mean, just before we come to you, Downsy, Dave, just bring us up on the latest. What is the current situation with the stadium? Because obviously, when we talked a lot over the course of the summer and since the summer, with the Ken Davey takeover, will it happen? Won't it happen? Am I thinking that eventually definitely did?
I don't know how much I can really say. I don't know how much I can really comment now.
Where's the ownership? Who, as it stands, what's the current ownership of the Shea?
Do you know what? I actually don't know. I don't know. I think Ken Davey's been sort of accepted as somebody that could buy the Shea, but in terms of officially, I'm really not sure. I mean, I'm involved.
Any ideas?
Dave, just say what you want to, and then as a show, we'll sort out the legalities afterwards.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, it's still the council that it's still the deal that's in place that has been for the last God knows how many years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ken Davey has taken over the stadium as of yet. That has to go through a ratification stage to say that he's
taking a long time to get nowhere.
Yeah, but let's be fair.
I think I just need to say my piece, and then we'll just honestly go from there. There's not too much I can discuss because I'm involved with a community group currently called Friends of the Shea, and they've put a pre-action protocol letter into the council that's basically like, have you got value for money for the ground?
Yeah.
There's been certain freedom of information requests made by people that make up this organisation that haven't been fully answered. Now, I mean, I can put a link up on our socials to the Friends of the Shea has a webpage. It's something I don't know how many people who follow this show follow me like personally, but I've been sharing all kinds of media from it. The only thing I could really suggest is I can set up a link to the particular page. There's a frequently asked questions on there. There's a few articles that I think would answer any questions that are required, but I'm not quite sure how much I can say publicly beyond a letter of concern. A pre-action letter has gone into to Calderdale Council. I think they have 14 days, or it might be 14 working days to respond. That was less than a week ago. So there's still a good week before a reply has to be made. I'm not sure what else I can say other than
that's fine.
All the details are on the website.
We'll let Downsy dip into the dodgy stuff, and then it's all on him. I mean, to be fair, Steve, kind of obviously linked with the stadium, but also linked back with the news regarding the Panthers today and this liquidation situation for them.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, obviously, I worked in rugby league for 7 years. It's a sport I have dear to my heart. I think it's a wonderful sport. We talked just earlier about non-league, and in a lot of ways, rugby league is a lot like that. It's not, even at the top Super League level, you get players going in and having a beer in bars and talking with fans, and it's very it's very like close to grassroots community stuff, even at the top level at Super League, at, you know, your stars that play for Leeds and St Helens, and particularly at Championship and League One level. Well, I mean, it's just Championship now, of course, because they've formed one league. But, you know, when I was at Dewsbury, you'd always get Halifax players coming into the bar afterwards, you know, speaking to supporters, having a pint. It's kind of, that's what rugby league's charm is. You know, you get to speak to your heroes on the pitch. There's kids that have grown up all their lives that have watched rugby league, and that they can get so close to them to shake their hand and have a proper chat. And it's a terrible time at the moment in rugby league. You know, you've had Featherstone go to the wall. You've had now Halifax go to the wall. You've had Sheffield in the past go to the wall. You know, and you've had top teams like Salford Red Devils, yeah, and obviously
I think Oldham are in jeopardy at the minute as well.
Yeah,
I think this is not happening at Oldham. And
you've had Castleford and Wakefield under threat in recent years as well. So the thing about rugby league that really gets me going, and obviously we're not in a rugby league show, so I could go on for hours, but I won't. The problem rugby league has is it always wants to build from the outside in. So it has all these great ideas about getting Toronto involved and Toulouse involved, and obviously Toulouse have been involved for a while, as of Catalan, but it wants these outside projects, but isn't prepared to help the clubs that are at the heart of the communities, such as your Keighley's, your Halifaxes, your Dewsbury's, your Batleys, your Workingtons and your Whitehavens. That a lot of these towns, they don't have football clubs, they don't have cricket clubs. You know, they have rugby league clubs, and that's it. That's what they're built on. You know, so it's a desperately sad situation. I hope, you know, there's a lot of good people that work at Halifax Rugby League Club. Whether we know what Dave thinks, and he's unfortunately spelt that out loudly on the show before. Please do go back and listen. It's one of the greatest notes I've ever heard on a podcast ever. But, you know, I think even Dave will admit that for the town of Halifax, for the people that go to them games and get mental health, you know, out of going to get a lot of enjoyment, you know, it's not good for the town. It isn't good. No. And I hope that they can come back in whatever guise. I don't see that being at the Shea now. I think, you know, for the football club, it's, in a sense, it solves the headache for the football club, because always the headache was if Halifax go up to the Football League and Ken Davey does buy the stadium and gets hold of it, and the Giants then play there, you can't have three professional clubs playing at the same ground. So for the football club, it solves an headache. I think the worry is, you know, if Ken Davey gets hold of the stadium and does buy it, I genuinely believe he will somehow merge Huddersfield and Halifax together and create a Kirklees RLFC. And nobody wants to see that, because rugby league was created in Huddersfield. It was born there. That's where the game started. That's what the town is proud of, and Halifax is an extension of that, you know. And we don't want to see
and it's Calderdale created.
You know, you want.
I mean, they were formed in 1876, weren't they?
But exactly, Chris. But the point is that's what he will create: a Calderdale and Kirklees RLFC, and that's not good for the sport, and it's not good for the towns that are involved in that. So it's been quite passionate there, because I'm a passionate guy about the sport. I love the sport. I've worked in it. I've seen how it's changed kids' lives being involved in that sport, from, you know, how we get into schools and stuff. So I hope it gets sorted. But yeah, sad day really.
I mean, obviously it's raw at the minute. The only critique I've got, and I know you'll agree with me, Downes, is if they try and reform themselves and there is a Halifax rugby team going forward, is there any point reforming one? Because if they get back to the Championship, they're just going to be banging their head against the wall again, because they're not in Super League. They're not just going to come back and just be in the same position anyway.
Well, they'd have to start at the bottom of the pyramid in amateur non-league type rugby league anyway. But the trouble for all these types of clubs that I've just mentioned in Keighley, Dewsbury, Batley, Whitehaven, Workington, they just don't have the finances, Chris. And it is what we've just been talking about with Brighouse. They just don't have the money. They're paying players over the odds that really they shouldn't be playing for players, because they don't have the budgets to do it. But they're having to pay these lads this money because they're just desperate to stay in the league. or they're desperate to go up because they have to have this money, and it's risking the entire club, and it's it's unfortunate that that's happened, certainly, and we don't like it to happen in any sport, but particularly one that means so much to the town.
I mean, if they'd have got through the Challenge Cup at the weekend, they lost to Goole Vikings, who are the league below.
No,
in the Championship. I'm not sure. It'd have been a drop in the ocean anyway, but they'd have drawn Warrington at home in the next round.
Yeah,
in round 4 of the Challenge Cup.
But the Challenge Cup even doesn't pay a lot of money now.
No.
It's not like it was years ago, where you were earning quite a bit of money. It don't pay hardly out now. It's basically like the crap cup in League One and League Two, really. I mean, when you've got sides beating other sides 100-0 at weekend in Challenge Cup, it's just a mockery of the old competition, mate. But, let's move on to positives.
Yeah, let's come back to football for a start, I suppose, as we carry on and make our way into EFL. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. You can get your comments in as well through YouTube or through X during the live stream. We'll try and get some comments out on air. As I'm sure we will now pick up a few comments when we are talking about EFL League One. And for the first time in many, many weeks of the season, Huddersfield are higher in the table than Bradford. I'm sorry, Gaz. Look at his face. Look at Downs' face. What I will caveat that with is it took a late fight back from the Terriers to get a point, which has now put them ahead on goal difference.
And we have 2 games in hand.
And City have 2 games in hand. But for now, we'll start with Downs.
What's funny? What's funny is that's what's been getting Downsy down all this time. His missus let it slip for the week on podcast that the thing that were bugging him more than anything else was the fact that City were above him.
I know, and you took
Gaz,
great pleasure.
Don't try and stoke the fire with other City fans. That's not going to work.
You took great pleasure in voicing that to the wider region on BBC Radio Leeds earlier on this evening as well.
What about me?
As well. No, Gaz. He outed you down to as being irked that City were higher in the table.
Thought better of you, Gaz. You were my
be happy now. Be happy now.
Don't forget, direct your comments on X at Stephen Downs #2.
No.
Let's start with you and Downs. Obviously,
start with Gaz. He's a lower side.
No,
you wanted to go up.
I'm starting with you because you're the positive story in League One this weekend. I mean, it nearly wasn't, though, to be fair. At one point, I think you put the message in about hating football, as you usually do when you feel the losing. And then, lo and behold, you managed to turn it around and get a point out of the game against Blackpool at the weekend.
Yeah, it was. Liam Manning has had 4 games so far, and none of them have been easy. But yeah, it was a bit weird, Chris. I was sat there at half time and I said to my dad, like, how are we 2-0 down in this game? It don't feel like a 2-0 game. Like the first goal, they take a corner. They've obviously worked on it in training. It like loops over to the other side. The guy crosses it back and he loops it back, and it's kind of like fumbled in. Nichols should have done a lot better. So that was a disappointing goal from a set piece point of view, definitely. And then the second goal is just like lack of concentration. They just get down the sides of us, cross it in, and it's an header, and it's in. So yeah, disappointing with the goals. But apart from that, I mean, credit to Blackpool. They did play the game plan well. It obviously worked. They wouldn't let us through the middle. They wouldn't let us play our quick style that we've had in the previous couple of games under Liam Manning, and so that meant for a difficult first half. Got in at half time, like I said, don't really know how we were 2-0 down, but Blackpool did deserve the lead, however they got it. And then second half, I said at half time we need to bring changes on. He didn't. I thought, And then 9 minutes later, he brings the first lot of subs on and the game starts to change. We went 4 at the back and an extra man in midfield and some actual width, getting crosses in. Bobby Wales comes up top and we have a bit of physicality and the game in the second half just totally changed from there. And then, yeah, when we got the first, I just thought, yeah, we might get a second here because we were putting the pressure on. And then when we got the second, it was like, yeah, well, we actually probably do deserve to draw the game from that second half. We weren't good in the first half. Second half, we were a lot better. And that shows Liam Manning's ability as a manager. If that had been under Lee Grant, we'd have lost 4-0.
Obviously, you left it late as well to kind of get that equaliser. But obviously, Cameron Ashley getting the goal.
Yeah, he's not. He said last time he scored a header was when he was 12. So he's obviously not been practicing too much on that heading ability, but he did get to the back post and nod it in. And you know, when the likes of Miller came on and Sorensen, they made a real difference and added a bit more whip to the ball and crossed it in with some, you know, panache really. And yeah, like I said, we kind of deserved the equaliser in the end. It was a hard fought draw, and I came out the stadium pretty happy. Obviously, when you draw a game that late, it feels like a bit of a win, doesn't it? But at half time, interestingly enough, when we were 2-0 down, I looked at the other results. I think you were losing, Lincoln were losing, Bradford had lost. I think Stockport were drawing. So the results were all going for us. And I said to my dad, oh, bloody hell, like, it's just a town thing to do. Like, everybody else, his results is going for us and we're bloody losing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I think we might have been level, I think, at the break at 1 apiece. But even still,
you weren't winning anyway.
We were dropping points. Yeah, we were dropping points. I mean, let me just see again if I can find the relevant graphic. I really should. What should I do? Labeled me graphics earlier. That's not the one. That's not the one. That's the one. There we go. The League One table. And that's kind of how it looks. And Gaz, look, we'll bring you in as well to kind of touch on the Luton game at the same time whilst we're discussing the table, because obviously that Luton result has brought Luton right back into the chasing pack as well, Gaz.
Yeah, it's tightened it up a bit, hasn't it? It's like we've said a lot on the pod. It's difficult around this time of year because teams haven't played the same amount of games. You can see there that like some teams have played 29, is it? So, I mean, some have played 28, and then you've got others that have played 31. So it's probably not going to even itself out until we get into April, I wouldn't imagine. We're on a bit of a sticky run at the moment, but it's like I said earlier on today, that we were always going to hit this patch at some point. We've got to be proud of where we've come from and what we've done so far this season, and try and see this sticky run through. We've had obviously Cardiff, Huddersfield, Lincoln, and then Luton. Tough games. We've got Peterborough on Saturday. We're flying. I think they're one of the form teams in the division. They put 6 past Wigan, so that's not going to be any easier. We've just got to, like I say, get our heads down, puff our chest out, and see if we can come through it. And I'm sure that the results will turn for us again at some point.
I mean, on the fact that there's some teams with different amounts of games, I saw one optimistic Barnsley fan on social media say that 27 games they've played, so they've got 4 games in hand on some. If they win them all, they'll be level on points with Huddersfield and making the playoffs. So I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. You're not going to win all 4 games in hand. But it's certainly the table is, we kind of just be going week to week, and nothing seems to change apart from the points totals, basically keeping the gaps in a similar sort of way. It's still extremely tight, certainly in those playoff places and below.
Yeah. We're the ones. Go on, Downes. It's your Huddersfield bit.
Well, no, I think it's the joint bit now, guys, to be fair. But
yeah joint bit.
Obviously, you know, there is that slight gap, isn't there, between us and you know, Bradford and Town to Stockport and Bolton. Yeah, for Town, it's kind of, it's a bit of like, I wish we'd have got Manning in about 5 games earlier, because it would have made a massive difference to the points that we're on now. You know, we're running out of games, so I think I am resigned to the fact now that it is probably going to be the playoffs. I don't think we are going to catch Lincoln. I know, Chris, you probably will not say that, but I genuinely don't think we will catch Lincoln now. I think the only ones that probably can are probably Bolton, but even they're not consistently brilliant. So,
wow,
yeah, for me,
I'm going to come on to that in due course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Gaz feels. Like for me, we seem to be very much on an upward trajectory. A lot of Town fans are very confident we'll make the playoffs now. I suspect that might be the opposite view with Gaz at City.
Well, I was just going to come to this, Gaz, because I mean, I obviously I heard you on BBC Radio Leeds earlier on this evening, and one of the things they pointed out and you kind of backed up is the fact that 3 of your next 4 games are back at Valley Parade. And obviously we know what a fortress that can be. And also you got to factor in that as well. You know, you look at that, if you win those 2 games in hand on Bolton, for example, you would go level on points with them. So, you know, I get the impression that whilst the form of late hasn't been as glamorous or as good as it could have been, you know, all is not yet lost, is it, Gaz?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I've said all along that we'd hit this sticky patch at some point. We saw these fixtures coming up. Like I say, your Cardiff, Huddersfield, Lincoln, Luton, Peterborough. We saw these fixtures coming, and it was always probably going to be the time in the season when we'd start to struggle if it was going to be a time. And we've just got to, like I say, see ourselves through it. We are the team that have slipped away a little bit, considering that possibly 2-3 weeks ago it was looking like us and Lincoln fighting out for that second place. We're the ones that have slipped. I think we are capable.
Stevenage seemed to have just. I know I haven't been on this show very often, but weren't Stevenage in like the top 3 for maybe until about 6-7 weeks ago?
Yeah, they're 9th at the moment.
Yeah.
They've got 29 games played. Probably dropping away a little bit, but actually, incidentally, they've got Barnsley at home tomorrow night.
Ooh.
As well.
They're the ones
games in hand.
They started to slip before us, really. They slipped it a few weeks before us. Like Chris says, 3 of our next 4 are at home. So if we are gonna turn it round and get back on a winning run, it's going to be now. I think if we don't do it over the next 3 or 4 games, I can see us slipping away to mid-table. But like you said, the Valley Parade can be a bit of a fortress for us when it gets going. We've got Peterborough at home on Saturday. Then we've got Stockport at home on the Tuesday night. Again, another tough game.
That is massive.
Then we've got, well, it is for you. And then we've got...
it is for you?
We've got an away game. I think it's Wimbledon. We've got Wimbledon away the following Saturday, and then Rotherham at home on the Tuesday night. So once we get past the Stockport game, on paper, the fixtures start to ease out a little bit, and you're playing teams that are up around the playoff table, playoff positions. But like I said, if we're going to turn it around, I think it has to be over the next 3 or 4 games if we're going to get sort of steady ourselves again in the playoff mix, because we have got this little run of home games.
If you look at the last 7 games that people have, I think Town have the easiest on paper. I'm talking on paper. And I think from memory, Bolton have the hardest.
Yes.
We played. I think we played Bolton very late. But Bolton is our hardest fixture in the last 7. Where Bolton play some absolutely ridiculous games, like they've got Stockport, they've got us, they've got.
Let me just run through it, because I've just gone to find it, because I had looked at this. So Bolton's run in
Bolton
April.
Is our last home game of the season. It's either I'm not sure if it's the last game full stop, but last home game of the season.
Yeah, but just check this out, because this will make or break this, depending on obviously how Lincoln get on. This will make or break the season for Bolton without a doubt, because their run for April, 3rd of April, Plymouth away, 6th of April, Stockport at home, 11th of April, Cardiff away, 18th of April, Huddersfield at home, 25th of April, Bradford City away, and then they finish on the 2nd of May at home to Luton Town. That is effing mental. Like, as runs go, that is so hard on the face of it. Now,
they've got to get so many points before that run.
Yes,
really.
And
I don't know.
To filter into that, look at the bottom of the fixture list. This coming Saturday is 2nd versus 3rd at Sinsel Bank, and I am already shitting bricks. I'm not afraid to say it.
That could go either way for Bolton, you know, because if Bolton get on a run at that time of the season and they hit some good form and get some confidence going, it could work out in their favour, you know. It really could. It could go either way.
For the playoffs up a second.
Either. No, I mean, like Downesy said before, you've got Lincoln have a nice little gap now. It's 12. Can you just bring the table up again, Chris? I can't remember how many.
Table is back. There we go.
Yeah,
We are 6 points ahead of Bolton.
Yeah, but you're 12 points above Huddersfield with a game in hand. You're 12 points above us, having played a game more. So at worst, that's going to be 9 for you. I think you've got a nice little gap there. It is in your hands at the moment, but Bolton, Stockport, I think Stockport could have a big say. The business that they've done in January, especially the 2 lads that they've brought in up front, well, the 3 lads, if you include Louis Barry, who's obviously not fit yet, I think that they could have a big say in matters. I think they could be one to watch. They've got a game in hand on Bolton and can go above them if they win that game in hand. And we play them a week on Tuesday, a week tomorrow.
I mean, look, from a Lincoln perspective, as I say, Saturday is huge. Like the fact that it's 2nd versus 3rd, there'll be no love lost on Valentine's Day for that one. It's absolutely massive. I know we've still got Stockport at home, I think, is later this month. No. Stockport at home is the 14th of March. We've still got to play, obviously, Huddersfield away, and that's already slightly making me edgy, even though they're about 6 weeks away from that one, or 5 weeks, whatever it is.
You're going to bottle go into it?
Say again.
You're going to bottle go into it?
Of course not. We'll be there. I mean, if anyone bottles these fixtures, mate, it's you usually. First ones in your own backyard. So, look, I mean, for me, first and foremost, Saturday is massive because if we can get a win over Bolton on Saturday at home, and hopefully stop. I can't remember who stopped. We've had Stockport for some reason. Don't play on the 14th. I haven't worked out why. I don't know if they're on telly or something on the Monday night or something daft, but they don't play on the 14th.
Do they play Thursday?
They don't. I've looked this up already. I can't work it out. They just don't play. They've got a game tomorrow night in the EFL Trophy, and then Stockport's next game is the 10th. Yeah, is Bradford.
Why is Nottingham Port Vale postponed? What's happened there?
Absolutely no idea. Ask the BBC.
That's a bit mad, isn't it?
Is it FA? Oh, it'll be FA Cup weekend. I'm guessing one of them will be in the FA Cup.
Well, this is Town's problem. You see, people keep getting games.
That's the Tuesday night as well. When Huddersfield, that's the 17th. When Bradford are at home to Stockport. Obviously, Town are away at Doncaster, and that won't be easy with the way that Doncaster seem to be improving of late. And then obviously Lincoln have got hopefully at home. Well, it's a bloody must win at home against Northampton.
I don't know if Doncaster were improving. They got absolutely thumped on Saturday.
Yeah, and we have Doncaster tomorrow in the Virtue Trophy. So
I was going to say about Lincoln, Chris. On the face of it, when you're looking at that Bolton game, if it was just you and Bolton, then a draw's not a bad result for Lincoln. But then you're looking at Stockport. You're saying, well, Stockport already have that game in hand, so
yeah,
that respect isn't great. It's good in terms of Bolton, in terms of Stockport.
Yeah, this is the thing. I
don't see Stockport catching. I don't see Stockport catching. I'll be honest.
See, I'll be honest, as long as Stockport, I do.
They're the ones to watch for me.
Yeah, Stockport have got that game in hand already on Bolton. So if whenever that game in hand is, I've said all along, or certainly for the last few weeks, that Stockport and Bolton are the two that I'm most concerned about because they're simply, it's obvious, but they're the ones that are closest to us, and the fact that Lincoln have still got to play them both as well. But I say luckily, fortunately, for both at home.
It's Billy Big budgets as well. Stockport and Bolton have huge budgets, as do Huddersfield. So they're like the teams that are obviously expected, have the expectation on them to be up there at the start of the season.
Nancy, but it's true. You laugh,
Bolton,
but it's
Stockport, Huddersfield,
true.
Cardiff.
Coming from a man that has just had his club taken over by an owner that's richer than Kevin Nagle, yeah. I am laughing.
And hasn't had a chance to spend any of it in the window so far.
But in the summer, we're not
talking about the summer, though, are we? This is the here and now. And right now, you are the Billy Big Bollocks with the budget.
Be signing Cristiano in the in the summer. It's going to be a superb season for you, though, isn't it, Chris? Let's be honest. You know, Rochdale get promoted from non-league, Lincoln go up, and then, you know, Man City win the Premier League. It's absolutely outstanding. You're having an outstanding season for your teams.
I'm not quite sure where he's got the Man City thing because he was making stuff
up.
We
all know.
I literally said in the group chat yesterday, I don't want Man City to win the league, but all right.
Just as support 12 teams.
That's an in-joke there amongst the group that we all rib Chris for having multiple teams, which he adamantly and ferociously denies that he doesn't support multiple teams. That's where Downes' comment came from.
Yeah, which is nonsense. Work for Rochdale, support Lincoln, help out with River Park Avenue.
Jay back me up here. Jay back me up 100%.
So let's look ahead then to the weekend's fixtures. I'll bring them back up then.
I can't talk about my virtual trophy match tomorrow then. That's quarter final. It's quite important.
Well, I'll be honest, mate. I want to go with no because you haven't given a shit about it all the way through the tournament so far. So why should you start now?
It's quarter final stage now. Northern
semi-final. Enough. Now is the time you start taking it seriously when you can.
I'm still not going to it. I'm still not going to it tomorrow, but it's a big game. I can't get there. It's too early kickoff. The 7 p.m. kickoffs is just pathetic.
Hey, you don't like early kickoff times. Never mind you.
No, Gaz. There's a difference between 12 on a Saturday and 7 p.m. on a Tuesday night when people have just finished work 2 hours before. So no, I'm not having that.
That's to make it better for families, though, Steve.
Is it? Well, it makes it worse for everybody else. The working class man, it's supposed to be a working class sport. Don't give me that shite.
If you're working in Huddersfield, it makes it easier because you've got less time between finishing work and the game starting. So
if you didn't live closer to Bradford than Huddersfield, then that might make a difference.
Right, mate, let's not get on this one. You literally live in Accrington.
Well played, Gaz. Well played.
And Chris doesn't even live in the same county of the team that he supports. He doesn't even go that often. Anyway, like I was saying, hopefully we beat Doncaster tomorrow. So, yeah.
To be fair, I'll be surprised if you don't, just because Doncaster haven't got the squad depth at the moment. Like,
we either
put
play
out a completely different 11 and get past.
We either play Port Vale. If we win, we beat Doncaster, or whoever wins the other semi-final of the Northern whatever is Port Vale v Stockport. So that's I can assume that Stockport will be going through to the national sort of like semi-final or whatever.
You would expect so. You would expect so. What was that? League fixtures Saturday. Go on then, Downes. We'll let you start on the league fixture then. So obviously for Huddersfield away at Stevenage, you know, at home actually have been pretty good this season. So it doesn't seem a foregone conclusion. However, obviously with the form that you've been in of late, you look at when you went to Peterborough and the form that they were in when you went there. What are you? I obviously know what you're hoping for, but what are you expecting from a logical, sound of mind perspective?
Yeah, well, I hope that we, that Stevenage are a good team. They've got, fantastic Jamie Reid up front, one of my favourite players to play on FIFA with. But yeah, he's, they've got a good team. Obviously, they've slipped away, like Gaz has said. So they'll be disappointed. They want to try and keep on the coattails of the playoff places. They won't want to let the season sort of span into nothing. So Town have got to be on the guard. Obviously, I think, the main aim would be not to have a man sent off and not go 2-0 down. I think that would be great to start with, to be absolutely honest, boys. Let's give Liam Manning a break and let him have a normal game for once. It's going to be a tough game, but I'll give you a prediction because I know Gaz never gives predictions on City games. So I'll go for I think I've said 2-1 on Town Talk yesterday. If you want a more in-depth chat about what's happening on Town, I will plug my own show. But yeah, go to Town Talk and listen to everything Callum, Kane and myself had to say yesterday.
Is this Manning's first away game down here? Has he had an away game?
No, Peterborough was his first away game.
Of course, Peterborough. What you'll get from Stevenage is physicality. They're proper in your face, proper physical, really nasty side to play against.
We don't do well against that, Gaz, so I can't wait for another 2-0 at half-time where we have to come back. We don't do well against physical sides, so that's why we've lost to Burton, Northampton throughout the season. You know, Blackpool weren't the most physical side on Saturday, I can't lie, but yeah, it's I'm a bit nervous about it. I just want Manning to keep the run going because we really are in positive form at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, Chris. Hope for a 5-0 smashing of them, but there we are. That never really happens in the town.
These runs for when you play come to an end eventually, I suppose. Gaz, for Bradford, as we touched on, a home game against Peterborough United.
Yeah, Peterborough, like I say, flying at the moment. Put 6 past Wigan, got Ryan Lowe the sack on Saturday. Yeah. Really, really good form. Surged up the league since Mr. Williams took over there. We're struggling, obviously, under Ferguson. He's turned it around completely. I think it'll be a really tough game, but given the fact that we're in a bit of a sticky run at the moment, we need to make the most of these home games that we've got. 3 out of 4, 3 of our next 4 at home, starting on Saturday. We if we're going to turn it around, like I said earlier, it has to start with these home games. What I will say, and I've not mentioned it yet, but obviously Luton, we played Luton away on Saturday. We lost 2-1. That wasn't a terrible performance, like possibly you would say the Huddersfield and the Lincoln games were, where we were totally outplayed in those 2 games from minute 1 to minute 90. The Luton game was a lot more even. Luton probably had the better of the first half. I would have said definitely had the better of the first half. As the second half started, City were well on top. We're 1-0 down at half-time, but started the second half well on top. Caden Jackson missed a gilt-edged chance, and then Luton went up the other end totally against the runner player, made it 2-0. And then it's backs against the wall when she's 2-0 down. We thought Ethan Wheatley went clean through one-on-one as soon as he'd come on the pitch. Probably his first touch of the ball. Keeper saved it. He probably wishes that chance had come 10 minutes later in the game when he'd had a bit of time on the pitch. I hope it doesn't do him damage in his City career. I hope it's not a moment where a turning point. I hope he can put his chest out, put it to the back of his mind and crack on, because the rest of his game did look really good when he came on. We got a goal back right at the end of the game through Stephen Humphreys. And probably if the game had gone on 5 or 10 minutes more, we'd have got a draw out of it. So it wasn't a terrible performance. But it was still a defeat, and like I said, we need to use these home games, like I said, 3 out of 4, try and bounce back and find some wins again, get back on the winning trail starting on Saturday, even though it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know you don't do predictions, so I'll not explicitly ask you for one, but obviously, as you say, the fact that Peter have been in generally pretty good form of late certainly suggests it's not going to be an easy game, but how important to be back at Valley Parade?
Yeah, well, that's it, Chris. Our home form has been really good over the last 18 months, 2 years. Contrast to what it had been before that, where we used to struggle at home. It's the away form that's been letting us down, and we need to, like I say, get something from this home game. Peterborough, probably the team at the opposite end of the form table to us. We're probably the team that are near the bottom of the form table, and they're near the top. So we need to turn that on its head on Saturday. We did win in our last home game. We beat Doncaster at home. That's I think we're 1 winning 4, 1 winning 5, and that was the win that we got. So hopefully getting back to Valley Parade, get the crowd behind them. I know there were a few dissenting voices on Saturday because obviously it was an early set-off to get down to Luton. I think there was an 8 a.m. pitch inspection, and then City obviously lost a 3rd or else a 4th away game on the bounce. So fans were getting a bit stalled. We need to get behind them and rediscover our winning form at home on Saturday, because home has been kind to us lately, and we need to make use of that.
Doesn't take them long, does it, at City to get the backs up, does it? I mean, can I just ask you about this link with Blackburn, with Graham Alexander, Gaz? Because has Blackburn sorted a manager? Because I heard that there was a lot of speculation around Alexander, and I don't know whether he said out in the press.
It's, to be fair, every man and his dog seems to be being linked with Blackburn at the moment. Like, I saw that Alexander was linked, but equally, you had a National League manager, Mark Hughes, linked with going back to Blackburn Rovers, and Robbie Savage bloody linked with Blackburn Rovers. Although,
and David Wagner.
The rumours at the moment are that Robbie Savage leaked a rumour about himself going to being linked with the Blackburn job, only for him to then do an interview with Forest Green Rovers in which he clearly distances himself from being interested in the Blackburn Rovers job. Like, You couldn't make this shit up. As for Graham Alexander, though, it is one of those that there was some talk about, but it seems that Blackburn fans don't necessarily want him. And I'll be honest, to look at it from a Blackburn perspective, I can see why. The man was a Preston North End and Burnley hero, like the two closest rivals for Blackburn Rovers. You're not gonna want somebody that's played for those clubs taking the managerial hot seat there, are you?
I think the message is kind of in what you said there, Chris. I don't think anybody really knows who's the favourite for that Blackburn job at the moment. There's nobody who's sort of stuck out at the top end of the betting. There's been a few people
Chris
that
Coleman.
have come in to stop 4 or 5 to 1. He's been lurking, but I think personally that they'll go for Gary Rowett. I think that's the one that they'll go for. But there is another job, isn't there, in the Championship available at the moment, and further down south. I'm trying to think what it is. Anyway, I saw an article about him basically being linked.
Or Leicester. Leicester's available.
Leicester.
Watford was until today.
It was Leicester that I was thinking of. I think he will end up at either Blackburn or Leicester. As for Graham Alexander, it was a bit of a nervy moment because obviously we know what happened with Phil Parkinson a few years ago when he went to Bolton. The thing with Alexander is this is going to be, how should I say it, possibly the tip of the iceberg, because I think he's going to get linked with jobs now because of the job that he's done at City. Fortunately, we do have him on a 3-year contract, so we'll be heavily compensated if he was to go. I was looking forward to the interview with him after the match on Saturday because we hadn't had a comment before that, and Jamie Rayner asked him directly, and Graham Alexander said there was nothing in it at all, and he was fully focused on City, which obviously was the same as Robbie Savage had said and the same as Mark Hughes had said. So I think the ultimate underlying thing for this is nobody knows where Blackburn are going at the moment. Personally, I think they'll end up going for Rowett if they can beat Leicester to him.
I'm not being. So the thing for me, guys, I don't know whether you'd agree with this, but Blackburn are a basket case club. They don't really have any budget. The budget has certainly gone down there. They don't spend any money. I don't think it's like a massively attractive job, is it? I know it's like a massive football club. Don't get me wrong. It is a brilliant, massive football club in this country, but I won't be jumping from Bradford to go to Blackburn with it. I think they're going to come down, mate. So why? I don't see why he's not going to get a Cardiff budget in this league, or you're talking the big spenders. I don't think Blackburn are going to spend if they came down.
I think that's reflected though in the managers that they are being linked with.
Yeah,
because they're either ones with ex-Blackburn links, aka Savage and Hughes, etc., or the managers that have historically worked at Championship or League One level, like Gary Rowett, Gareth Ainsworth's like 12 to 1 at the moment, Dave Challinor at 20 to 1, but managers that have generally worked without spending a great deal as well, certainly in Rowett's case.
Or does it just tell you that they don't have an idea of what they want to see on the football pitch? Because they're all very different managers you've just named.
To a point. I mean, it will be interesting to see where they go. I mean, as you say, I've always, I don't know why, I've always liked Blackburn for some reason. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for them, and I always liked them.
Team 13.
For some reason, it's such a weird job now. Like they're a club. Like you see the size they've come down from the Premier League, and they've just properly stagnated at Championship level without. And the fact that Venky's are still there baffles me, because you look at all the hatred and disdain towards the Venky's as owners when they were in the Premier League being relegated out of it. And somehow you're talking what? For the best part of 12, 15 years later? Whatever.
They don't go,
the owners of the club.
They don't go, do they? Though? They're one of these faceless owners.
I think there's
like the Glazers
one
at Man
or two of
United.
them do, but that's about it.
Blackburn been down to League One under the Venky's.
Yeah.
They
did. They were in League One 5 years ago. Got promoted back up to the Championship.
Yeah,
they spent a bit. They spent a bit, Gaz, when they were last in League One. They did spend a bit. They won't spend hardly hope this time when they come down. They won't be a big spender.
It will be interesting to see who does end up going in.
They'll probably go for. I just think they'll end up going for someone either out of work or they'll, like you said, because it's a cheaper option, or they'll go for. So I'm touching wood here because I really don't want them to go for Alexander. But obviously, they might go for someone abroad. They've done that before as well. With their history of looking abroad, I could see them doing that. Alexander's got a lot of credit in. It'd be a big risk for Alexander because he's got a lot of credit in the bank at City at the moment. Obviously, hopefully, we're on an upwards trajectory that we haven't peaked out at yet. So, fingers crossed, he realises that if they do come calling. But like I say, he denied it on Saturday, said there was nothing in it at all, which was good news for us.
They might do a Watford and go for an absolute nobody and somebody's brother. You never know. Anyway.
Let's look at Leeds United then to finish on the Premier League, of course. And for Leeds at the weekend, it was a particularly good weekend really for them with a Friday night football win over Nottingham Forest. And this is how, I mean, I accidentally slightly cut off Wolves there if I set the banner off there. I don't think anyone's really going to be too bothered about that because Wolves are as good as down anyway. For Leeds, I'll say it was a win over Nottingham Forest. I mean, I've put in the title, cruise past Forest. And whilst Forest actually did have the spell in the second half, but the damage had already been done in that game. And, you know, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the man that Stephen Downes said wouldn't score goals, has proved Downesy wrong, that is for sure. I mean, obviously, with results of the weekend, though, it was a big win when you look at the fact that obviously West Ham got that win over Burnley as well. Gaz, as a resident Premier League man as well, being the Liverpool fan that you are, I'll kind of come to you on this one in terms of the Premier League. So, I mean, yeah, from a Leeds perspective, a crucial win because of the fact that West Ham got a win as well.
Yeah, they're the team to watch, aren't they, at the moment, West Ham? I mean, Leeds seem to have been in good form for a while now. I mean, I'm only looking at it from the outside, but they seem to have, obviously, since that Man City game just before Christmas, they've really turned it around. But where the West Ham keep plugging away, is it 6 points, that gap at the moment? I thought West Ham were dead and buried after they lost to Forest.
Yeah.
I really did. I thought, well, that's it. They're gone. They looked out of it. And suddenly they've won 3 out of the last 4. I think that the bottom 2 are gone. We can forget about those. And I think it will end up being 1 from 3, Leeds, Forest and West Ham. I think West Ham are still more likely of the 3 to go down at the moment. I think Leeds are probably the least likely of the 3, just looking at the table, simply looking at the table. But Forest's form has tanked since that West Ham game. It's a good win for Leeds, like you said, to win against somebody that's down there. It's almost like a 6-pointer. You look at what the swing would have been if Forest had beaten them. It's like a 6-pointer, is that? It's a massive win for them.
I'm not being funny. Sorry, Chris. I was just going to jump in there. I'm not being funny. Like you just said about you think it's one between the 3 guys there. I even put Tottenham in it. I think Leeds are...
Well, I was about to say...
Yeah, the way that Leeds are playing, I wouldn't be worried as a Leeds fan, but I'd certainly be worried as a Spurs fan.
I don't think Tottenham will go down. I think they'll have enough. I think they'll change the manager and get out of it if they need to. I just can't see Tottenham. I mean, I might be wrong. You can clip it. I might be wrong. I thought Palace were in it till they won. They got a win out of nowhere at the weekend, didn't they? And look, that shot them up to 32 points.
Yeah.
It's not good at Spurs, though, is it? It's not.
No.
Compared to Leeds for the atmosphere, Spurs are in a bad way.
I mean, tomorrow night, Leeds are back in action. They're away at Chelsea. Speaking of Spurs, they've got. I mean, what an interesting one this will be on the managerial side of things. It's Spurs at home to Newcastle United as well, and there's a couple of games this midweek that could be quite definitive for clubs this season, Gaz.
I think there'll be a few managerial changes this summer. I really do. Obviously, you've got the situation at Man United. Don't really know what's going to happen there. Carrick's flying at the moment, but do they do what they did with Did they do what they did with Solskjaer and give him the job? I mean, look what happened. This is exactly what happened with him. So I think they'll be wary of giving it permanently. I think you've obviously got Howe's under pressure at Newcastle. You've got obviously Frank at Spurs. Slot's going to come into question at Liverpool if they don't make the Champions League, which they don't look like doing at the moment. I think there'll be a few moves this summer manager-wise. I really do.
Guy at Brighton, Glasner at Palace.
Obviously, Glasner's leaving, isn't he?
Dyche at Forest. I don't think he's. I think Dyche might be sacked in the next couple of weeks if he don't start getting some wins. I mean, if they lose to Wolves, is that the next game?
Yeah, they're at home to Wolves on Wednesday.
This is the midweek fixtures this week because obviously next weekend is an FA Cup weekend, so there's a midweek Premier League set of fixtures this week. for midweek match of the day fans. So yeah, as you can see, obviously Leeds are mentioned away at Chelsea tomorrow night, but you're right. You look at Forest v Wolves. I mean, I think Forest will win that. To be fair, I think Forest will have enough. And actually, look, I know we were talking in the group chat earlier. If the seat, I mean, look, where they are now isn't Sean Dyche's fault. Ultimately, it's Postecoglou and the results at the start of the season. You know, if the season had started when Dyche took over, Forest would be comfortably, I think, 11th. I think it was before the weekend's game. So it's they're actually not got a bad return.
They'd have 4 managers if they sacked Dyche. They sacked Dyche and put somebody else in charge. They'd be on the 4th manager of the season.
This is why I don't think they will.
We're not even in March.
I think they'll stick with Dyche because ultimately, as I say, the return so far hasn't been too bad. Ultimately, and look, I appreciate I'm saying that as we sit on the 9th of February, there's a long way to go. But I think unless they really do have a bad run of maybe 3, 4, 5 straight defeats, and West Ham end up continuing this run of form that they're on, I can't see them getting rid just yet.
Do you think Spurs are in it, Chris? Gaz doesn't, so. And Dave's not bothered.
No, don't get me wrong, they are in it, but I don't think that they'll go down.
It would be absolutely nuts if they did. But I mean, the thing is, ultimately, right now at this stage, if you consider Leeds to be in the relegation battle still, you've got to look at Spurs. And actually, you know what? You could arguably go, because all it takes is, as we're seeing with West Ham at the moment, and I know they're not out of the bottom 4 as yet, but 3 wins in their last 4 games, is if a side or a couple of sides start putting runs together, that will soon pull in the likes of Palace, the likes of Brighton, etc. as well, and obviously Spurs are below them. So, whilst I don't think they'll go down, you can't look at the table and say they are not in the fight. If Leeds are in the fight, then Spurs are in the fight. They're level on points. And Leeds have had the better form over the last 6 games as well when you look at it.
I guess the thing with Spurs as well is the atmosphere around the club. That plays a big part. The fan, it's toxic, isn't it? And that plays a big part.
Yeah, it's awful. None of them like Frank, do they? That's the problem.
The thing is, this isn't. And I have a lot of sympathy with Thomas Frank though, because it doesn't freaking matter who takes the Spurs job. They never freaking like them anyway. It doesn't matter. This is why they've taken, and whilst I appreciate they are more on their ass than they were previously, but they weren't happy when they had Conte and Mourinho, 2 of the Europe's best managers, who had them 7th, top 7, top 8 in the league. They weren't bloody happy then. It doesn't matter who takes the Spurs job. You could give it Paul Gascoigne. You could give it some Ozzy Ardiles, give it some absolute Spurs legend, and as soon as the form goes to pot, the Spurs fans will be up in arms again.
But they're doing well in Champions League. They're having a pretty good Champions League campaign, aren't they? Which is strange.
This is the saving grace, I think, for Thomas Frank. And I'll be honest, I did not have money on Dave Foy being the man to pop up with. They're doing well in the Champions League, though. But here we go. That's what's keeping him kind of in the job, it seems, at the moment. It is. Let's round it up.
Just the last one. Fair play to Keith Andrews and David Moyes, though. To have their respective clubs in there.
We really should have labelled these tables.
Chris is having them there, but to have Everton in 8th and Brentford in 7th.
Brentford in 7th. Who the hell saw that coming?
I mean, I had Brentford to finish bottom. I'll be honest.
I think we all certainly thought bottom 3 relegation candidates for Brentford when they appointed Keith Andrews, and what a ridiculously good job he's done. And as you say, the fact that David Moyes has taken Everton from being a side that are usually in that position of being 14th, 15th, 16th, etc., and have got them almost on that 40-point mark already up in 8th is superb.
Yeah. It's a boring brand this year, really, isn't it? The bottom, I think, will be more interesting come the final day than the top. Because
I don't know. The title race isn't over. sadly.
It's just boring, though, isn't it? It's Arsenal the most boring winners of the Premier League if they're going to win it, or Man City just going to steamroll through.
The Premier League's just been ruined by VAR anyway. Like, the whole thing is just not an enjoyable watch nowadays.
Don't get Gaz on that.
Let's not. Let's wrap it up here before we go down that route. We'll wrap it up. Thank you to everyone that's been in touch with us over the course of the evening, everyone that's tuned in from the start as well. Big thank you, as ever, to Gareth Walker, to Stephen Downes, and to Dave Foy as well for making his rare appearance on the show. We appreciate you getting on, though, Dave. We do. Don't forget that Downes will be back at the weekend with another Town Talk show on Sunday night. Brownie and Jay will be here with some Leeds content over the course of the week. They'll probably have something the next day or two, and then a weekend preview as well. Are they still in the FA Cup? I think they are, aren't they? Yeah, they are in the Cup. They'll have a match review probably tomorrow night as well, actually, with Leeds being actually against Chelsea. So at full time of that one, keep an eye on the channel for a live stream there, which I expect Jay and Brownie will do. For myself, though, and the lads, enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Take care.